What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. It is football season, so it is muskox season. It is flannel season, and there's no better way to look your best, feel your best, than a Muskox flannel. You can go to gomuskox.com, where Couch and the Rube listeners can get $15 off a flannel purchase with the promo code PEACOCK. $15 off at gomuskox.com. Check out their latest offerings as we head into great tailgate weather, backyard, fire weather. Not setting fires in your backyard, of course, just, having a fire in your backyard. Marshmallows, whatever it is you like. S'mores are my thing, not surprisingly. Donuts, whatever you might want. GoMuskox.com. Look your best. Feel your best. Jason, how you doing, brother?
What did we tell you? What did we tell you? Ah! What did we tell you? What did we tell you? Come here and take it. Ah! Let's go. That's crazy.
Hey, man. What's up?
You okay now?
I can't believe that was real. I forgot that was from last year. That was Minnesota last year, but
that's what you felt like.
Yeah, there's a reason why you shouldn't do those things like immediately after a game due to too much THC consumption and food consumption and excitement. You might sound like Tony Dombrowski after a Lions victory.
Good life lesson.
Yeah. Hey, man, it's great to see you.
Yeah, this week. Last week it was not.
Fuck no. Thank God that's over. We're back. So great to be back.
I felt good for you yesterday. Yeah, I felt good for you.
It needed. Yeah, this show would have been over.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
Another way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Fuck Ben Johnson, right? Yeah.
I felt good for you. It was good to see, that all that we were concerned about, at least for the time being, is right. Maybe the Bears are just awful.
Till next Monday. Yeah.
Well, it was kind of funny watching the Vikings game last night and how bad they were in getting their butts kicked at home to the Falcons.
That game stunk.
Which made me think maybe the Bears and Vikings are just both awful. And that made me feel a little less good about things. But what the Lions looked like yesterday was the Lions that they were a year ago when they just get rolling. There aren't many NFL teams that can put 50 on people. And the Lions are one of them. And there are years where there isn't an NFL team that can do that stuff. The Lions are that team. And
I'm in denial of maybe the Packers are actually a good team. I mean,
you do what you got to do to get through the day.
The first two games, no, I understand that, but I'm just saying, you want to sit there and make sure you see a couple games before you just anoint the Packers like this NFC championship team. I mean,
what do they have, Cleveland this week? Somebody like that? We'll find out about the Packers. I don't even know if that's right.
They had, so much time off since the last time they played. I mean, LaFleur is going to be prepared. I get it. Green Bay is scary, but the Lions had to get back on track yesterday, and they did that, but there's still questions. We have questions.
There were good value bets to be made on the Lions division, Lions NFC last week. Those are probably going away just because, people overreact. There might be good value the other way on MSU football right now, which I think if you find a live season wins line, it might be up to 7 some places. Maybe you take the under on that a little bit. Just looking to if you've got too much invested in the other way or something. Because
what
Saturday
odds can I get
promising.
on Jonathan Smith makes year 3? What can I get it right now? I'd like to know.
What would you take if you had 10-1? He does not. Would you take?
I'd take it easy. I'd sprinkle for sure.
Would you?
Absolutely. Listen, it doesn't have anything to do with Jonathan Smith. You can still think someone's a nice guy, but maybe just not the right fit for his position. I don't know.
So what you saw against Youngstown State
made
you think not the right fit?
Well, the end of the first half was a little suspect and some decisions made there. The defense, that's on Rossi. Are we doing the show or are we doing the takes now? We're just getting into it, right?
Let's just get into it. Yeah, let's do our.
Listen, I'm not rooting for Jonathan Smith to not make it into his 3rd season. I'm just saying he's a Haller guy. Jay Batt comes in and wants to make these changes, and if this team, I don't know what they're going to look like against USC. You need to convince me right now that they're going to go in and win that game. I'm not even talking about the point spread. You tell me how. And by the way, is Nick Marsh okay? Have we had an update? Injury update.
So here's what came out of the press conference, Jonathan Smith today. Several injuries. Luka Vincic is out for the year, which is not great. The starting right guard, he sort of won that job.
Was he in a rotation? Was he like the?
He had won the job as a starter. He'd been out at the beginning. He was going to be the guy. But they do have some depth there. So, Alante Brown appears to be long-term injury. Not great for him. Hurt in pre-games. I mean, that stuff happens in soccer only usually. And Mekhi Frazier and Jonathan and Nick Marsh. Mekhi Frazier and Nick Marsh, Jonathan Smith said, were not anywhere near that. Shorter-term things. They were going to see how they were at the end of the week, which is much more promising. And I asked him later, because he did at that point sort of talk about, you want to see what they're able to do throughout the week. And some coaches have this thing where if guys don't participate in practice, they don't play. And my question to Jonathan Smith, well, Nick Marsh is Nick Marsh. Like, does that apply to everybody? If somebody's a veteran, do they need as much practice if they're that critical to the team? And he said, if Nick Marsh is good to go, you'll see him out there on the field. Like, he gets Nick Marsh. Not everybody is the same. And so that was promising in terms of Nick Marsh perhaps being able to play at USC. I don't know if he'll be able to or not. They do have a bye week after that. So if you're just looking for a guy to get totally right, that would make some sense. The flip side of that is they'll still have the bye week. So he'll have a couple weeks. If he's good to go, I think he'll play. It's a big moment. They're out at USC. It's not a place they've played often, although they will now that they're in the conference more often. But yeah, in terms of the game and the season and where things are, I get why the vibes have shifted downward. I really do, because it was a deflating game coming. It was a deflating day coming off that game. Not just that game, but the Boston College game and the games that happened around. When you start to look at Michigan State's
losing
other
to
opponents.
Stanford by double digits when you're a double-digit fave. I don't want to hear any of that shit. Well, you had to go to the West Coast. Like, you win that game. You don't cover the spread. That's fine. I get that. So the spread's for guys like us, but you got to go to Stanford and win that.
There are 2 points on it. And then Western Michigan lost 39-0 to Illinois. So there are a few points to make. If you're looking at – give me the spin zone. Let me give you the spin zone on that before I get into some other stuff.
He's calling it.
You are about to enter the spin zone with noted newspaper columnist and radio host Graham Couch.
All right, here's the deal. I was following that Stanford game against Boston College a little bit because I had interest in it. I was up writing and I was thinking, what's going on here? And at one point, Boston College is up 17-6. They are in control of the game. They are the better team. They have one really bad turnover. They had a couple nasty injuries. I mean, they've had injuries going, like injuries, the sort of injuries that if you paid attention closely to a team, if they were your team, like if this was Michigan State, you'd say, well, that's why they lost. Like Nick Marsh type injuries. You go, well, that's the difference. They were tied 20-20. They were going up to go up 27-20. The running back, that turbo guy, he gets in the end.
Turbo Dick?
Yeah, he fumbles into the end zone, touchback the other way. So instead of being up 27-20, they fumbled in the end zone. And the team they looked like they quit. They did not look organized. Bill O'Brien looked bad. What I would say, though, and so that's not a good result. But that was not the same. The team that I saw out in Stanford was not the team that was in Spartan Stadium. So while, again, not good, that the team that was in Spartan Stadium would beat Stanford 10 out of 10 times. The Boston College team that I saw. Now, so you can say, they had to go back to Boston. They fly across the country. These are 19, 20-year-olds. And they did get deflated. The thing went downhill. That they ought to take care of that auto team like Stanford. They did not. That's bad. But that is not the team you saw in Spartan Stadium in terms of quality. In terms of Western Michigan, which has not had a great start, they're 0-3 as well. They blew a game in overtime in North Texas and then got just flattened by Illinois. I've also seen, with having covered Western Michigan when I lived in Kalamazoo, what it looks like that third and fourth week, especially when you get a couple high majors in a row at that level, and what the toll it takes on your body and how you just – so I've seen it. I've just seen it. I've seen it. So I'm just letting people know.
What about Stanford going on the road for their first 2 games? This was their home game, the true first home game.
Again.
After losing to Hawaii and BYU.
Not ideal. I think the more concerning thing for Michigan State
is their defense
was on the field at Michigan State. Correct. I think the games around them.
The BC thing had just added to it.
Correct. It did not add to the vibes. Like if BC had gone out to Stanford and won 54-0, people would be like, all right, maybe this Youngstown State thing was just The problem is they didn't look like the superior team at the line of scrimmage often enough. They couldn't run the ball the way they could the first 2 weeks. And maybe Youngstown State winds up being a decent, FCS team. It's still an FCS team. The quarterback he's only twice thrown for more passing yards than he did, and it was against FCS teams now at the end of last year, SIU and Northern Iowa, right? And I understand also that they were more worried with him about containing the run, and they did that fairly well with him after he'd had 264 yards rushing the previous week. So you're playing a style of defense with that. that was not a good performance. That was not an encouraging performance. They will not play another team this year outside of maybe a UCLA team that has everybody transfer before then and just fire their coach. And we'll get into UCLA in a minute because we've got some questions about Jonathan Smith and that whole thing. They will not play a team outside of perhaps a UCLA team that falls apart in like MSU Mel Tucker 2023 fashion.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
As bad as Youngstown State all season. And they struggled with them. And they struggled to run the ball, which isn't encouraging because that had been something that was there. And defensively, they weren't in control. And just when you start to think they were taking control, they give up a drive late. And they give up 7 plays of 17 yards or more. That just can't happen. You've got to be better than that. You've got to be deeper than that. You've got to be physically the better team than that. And there's no other way around it than that's concerning. You go into a USC team that still has something to prove. USC was okay against Purdue. They beat them 33-17, but one of those things is a pick six. They settle for a lot of field goals. They've got weapons, but they don't look completely in sync. And USC had some issues coming east and kind of got over those a little bit. And I think this is a tough game. I don't think USC is Oregon of last year, or they haven't proven themselves yet to be that sort of team or whatnot.
Yeah, but will Michigan State make them look like Oregon last year?
The thing for Michigan State is, regardless of their I shouldn't say regardless of the defense is going to have to play decently or its best game. Beyond that, they have to have Nick Marsh. This is not, I thought Chris Solari, he says a lot of things, and this was one of the best things he's ever said.
Graham.
That Nick Marsh is their equalizer, he told me after the game. That was a great way of putting it because it is true. For all your flaws, like, okay, you don't have the defensive backs to match up with what USC has. Well, you know what USC doesn't have? Somebody to match up with Nick Marsh.
I thought he was going to play defense, Marsh.
No. But what I mean is he gives you something that is just a problem for everybody, and especially the way Childs is playing right now. And then the trickle down with that, when you have a number 2 as good as Omari Kelly, that it gives you a chance to be in games, to win a shootout, or at least be interesting in a game like this. I think without him, as good as Kelly is, and I think they've got good receivers, their NFL guy is Nick Marsh. Their first round, their starting NFL guy is Nick Marsh. And I'm not saying Kelly won't have an opportunity in the NFL. I'm just saying their difference maker is Nick Marsh. He has to play for them to go out there and have a chance, even if Childs plays really well. I just don't, because I don't think that defense is going to be able to get USC off the field enough for Michigan State minus Nick Marsh's pace on offense. I think they're going to have to hit, and Nick Marsh allows you to hit with some more big plays. Look what he did against Youngstown State when they couldn't run the ball. All of a sudden, early in the game, they went to this quick passing with Marsh and put him in space one-on-one, and he made that guy look like, look bad. I think that injury is everything. Now, will he play? I have my doubts, but again, I don't know. And they left it up in the air today, but I don't think Michigan State's likely to win the game either way. But I think to have any sort of shot, they need Nick Marsh on the field. They just don't have enough guys.
What would be the smart play? Obviously, we want Nick Marsh to play, right?
If he's healthy,
but if it's so early into the season, I understand if he's healthy, but what does that mean?
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? If the injury is going to be one of these nagging things, do you sit him against USC, lose that game, and then have that bye to let him rest?
This is not a 10-year NFL vet playing in the Super Bowl. I don't think, and it's not even.
They treat these injuries so differently nowadays.
It's not even a college football playoff game, but even then, this is a sophomore who's planning to have a long NFL career, and you also want to show that that your big picture for players like him is to take care of him and to set him up. When you're trying to recruit these guys, you don't want to look like, you don't want Nick Marsh to have a nagging injury become something more serious, and I don't think they would do that. I'm just saying you don't want anything to happen that then goes, wait a sec, why was he on the field? That's not a good look. Again, if Nick Marsh is good to go and he wants to play, you play him. I don't think there's any question about that. And if he's not, you don't. I think it's that simple. You don't think about the bye week tremendously. If he's healthy enough to play Saturday, then he plays Saturday. If he's not healthy enough to play Saturday, you don't play Saturday, and he's got the bye week either way. That's the way I would look at that. I think Michigan State's in a little bit of trouble this week. I do not think USC is quite as scary, though, they've got some big strikeability and all that. I get that. They're not quite as scary as some of the teams Michigan State has played out west recently, and I think that's sort of what's in people's head. They remember Washington, a couple years ago. They remember Washington coming east and what they did to Michigan State. They remember Oregon. I don't think this program is quite there, and I think they're more vulnerable defensively. The question is, can Michigan State run the ball without Mekhi Frazier? Can they Can they have enough big strike ability on offense? Will they have Nick Marsh? Because what we saw from that defense is hard to imagine them being able to keep USC under 30 points.
What's the spread on that right now?
It keeps moving up.
15.5?
It's more than that now. I think it's up to 17.5 for USC. It's getting to the range where if they have Nick Marsh, it would get interesting. It's getting to a range where it's too big, I think.
What did you make of the Youngstown State line dropping at 23.5? And people were sending that to me like, that seems pretty light. Like, why is it?
Yeah,
I sit there and wait all week for a number to hang, and then they put 23.5 out there, and I'm like,
glad I didn't put it out
there. Is there an injury Couch didn't tell us about or something? You know?
I was tempted to tell people jump on that, and I'm glad I didn't, because I thought,
hammer it.
I think I put 40. I just didn't. I thought they would be able to put up, and even as the game went along and they were struggling for a while, and then they got up 70, I thought they're gonna get above 23. They're gonna win by 24-31. I still thought they were gonna, but that defense wouldn't allow it to happen. That Michigan State defense.
Vargas knows. Vargas.
I don't know if Vargas knows this. Here's a real question whether Vargas knows.
I don't know. They dropped it at 23.5 and were pretty much right. So
yeah, but here's where Vargas doesn't know.
I like how you say it. You took the bit even further. You say Vegas even in a worse way.
Vargas does not know that Nick Marsh is worth between 7 and 10 points to this game.
Vargas, how do they not know that?
They won't. It'll be half a point of that. A receiver at the college level will not move the line. That's where Vargas struggles. You want to catch Vargas? Catch Vargas on their inability to understand in the college game, especially how much one player, be it a glue guy in basketball, whatever it might, really shifts a game, and it won't move the line. Vargas knows numbers. Vargas does not know hoops. Vargas does not know football.
Now you're just saying it to say it.
Sorry, that's bad. All right, what is your first take?
Iguna Yaba Gita Jared Goff. Great win yesterday. Rock solid. Jared Goff, baby. 5 touchdowns. The offense is back. The defense, on the other hand, man, that first drive really scared the shit out of me by the Bears. When they just went down the field and scored that touchdown, I'm like, this is going to be a long day. But on the injury front, of course, who saw this coming? Marcus Davenport is injured. I'm not sure if we've heard any injury update news as Dan Campbell talked yet. I don't think he has. But when you see the Cowboys sign a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, and I see Zadarius Smith on the Eagles yesterday, and he's making certain plays, and he's on a short-term deal, and whatever Bosa big-nosed brother they have in Buffalo, I forget which one it is, Nick or Joey. But, I mean, these guys are all on short contracts. And my just question to Brad Holmes is, what do you need to see in the Ravens game, right? I mean, we sit there and harp on Hutch and all this stuff, but if you don't get the guy some sort of other defensive end help on that right side, I mean, does he really trust some of the guys? I know he's a big guy. I love my guys, but really, do you trust Al Muhammad or Tyler Lacey or Tyrus Weed if Marcus Davenport's out at all? I mean, what is the fear? I guess Brad Holmes needs to let people know, let the fan base. I know he doesn't like the fan base sometimes, but maybe if he could let us know what the fear would be of signing some guys to that short of a deal where you can get rid of guys in the NFL. This isn't like they come into your locker room and they become a cancer and you have to keep them in there. Right? If they come in and they're that way, then you just kick them to the curb and move on to the next guy. That's how these elite teams win Super Bowls. And I would like to see a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I'm 46. I don't know how many more seasons or 5-year plans I have. So I would like to jump at these guys. I know that you want to keep your guys, Brad. But, there's not many criticisms coming your way except maybe a few. And I think this is one of them. Like, why do we sit there and stand pat while these other franchises make moves like that and win Super Bowls?
One of my dreams for this show is to be able to do a Monday show with you the day after the Lions win a Super Bowl. Just to see the state of mind you would be in, to hear what that sounds like. You might be. Die. You might be. It might just be me talking to your corpse. But
weekend at Bernie's, T comes and props me up in the chair.
Perfect.
It's like those funerals in Mexico where they stuff the guy and
you got Rob
make him play cards.
Rob moving your hands to press the buttons to move your board. It'd be perfect. It'd be great. Either way.
Whatever you got to do to get me here. I'm just saying, after the parade and everything, I don't know if I'll survive or if I want to. I mean, that's a great way to go out.
So I'm
just saying.
I think this week is really interesting against the Ravens for this reason. The Packers look like an elite team. They may not be as elite as they look, but they're obviously a contender based on what we've seen. We know that, right? The Ravens are too. And so this is the company you're making sure you still keep. This is who the Lions were last year. The Bears might be just truly awful. You're at home. It was the Ben Johnson game, whatever. I'm not saying the Lions aren't really, really good, and they showed some things.
But now you have Lamar.
Now you have Lamar, and now you have the type of team you're going to have to beat to win a Super Bowl. And so this, to me, is telling. If you don't even have to win the game, but it has to be a game that looks like a game that could go either way. But if it doesn't, if you look like the lesser team because of whatever reason, be it your offensive line, your inability to contain Lamar. And Lamar's a little different than most quarterbacks, right? Because it's a different type of pass rush, and you can't run at him.
He's the type of quarterback our defense has a problem with all the time.
Absolutely. But if there is something that you can't deal with him, you're probably not going to be able to deal with it with Josh Allen either. And you need to go fix that. Be it the offensive line, be it something on defense. That should be an early season tell that you don't have enough. And again, if it's a toss-up game and you lose,
if you had a Micah Parsons to kind of spy Lamar,
that would be nice.
Not Jack Campbell and anal zone.
Because it looks like, and maybe the Chiefs put it together now, but it looks like it's probably a Lamar or Josh Allen that you're dealing with at the end of the rainbow on the other side in the Super Bowl anyway.
End of the rainbow.
I just came up with that. Was it good?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, the end of the rainbow, the end of the gold pot or whatever. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I just don't know. I think you can lose the game, but as long as Lamar does not put up video game numbers and your defense looks embarrassing and Terry and Arnold gets torched, time after time, and we don't get any pressure on Lamar, and those 3rd and 6 where Lamar runs for a first down. You know what I mean? Like I agree. I can agree with you in a weird way. This is not a must win like the Bears game was, but you have to kind of show something against the Ravens, albeit at their place, to make people start to believe again. And I still want to believe, really the Bears are going to be complete ass, I think, this year. It was fun beating Ben Johnson, but really, what are we taking away from?
I feel bad for Bears fans.
I think what we took away from that is that Dan Campbell hates Ben Johnson. Like, they hate each other, and there's a lot of play. Like,
do
Brian
you think
Branch.
they do?
I think so. I think there's something to it. I think the players are really annoyed because Brian Branch, the god of the Lions defense, did say that he's like, man, really, out of all places, he went to Chicago. Well, so I think there's a little problem with that,
Well, I'll then treat every week like Ben Johnson's on the other side.
Please, yes.
Do that. Pretend whoever
Someone
it is.
dressed like Ben Johnson.
Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Do you have any other takes before we get to the listener
Dude,
takes?
we got to talk about. Hold on.
Buenos tardes.
Real quick,
it
right?
It's time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
Dude, we got 6.5 games up on the Guardians, and we play them 6 times. We have them and the Braves left, right? This is not going to be an epic collapse, right? I saw the World Series odds, and it said 10-1 for the Tigers. And a part of me went, if it were 100 to 1 odds, I would take it.
There's value in that. There's value
sorry,
in 100
I know
to
you
1.
can't play along. You got to be literal Larry every time I say something. I understand. You'd have to sprinkle on 100 to 1 odds. But, right, this feeling I have about this team is been one, and I've said it before on this show, but I feel like I have to say it again because I did feel that way when I saw the 10-1. I go like, that doesn't seem like, it seems kind of light. Like, how are we only at 10-1 to win this World Series when I've watched pretty much every game this season? And I want to believe, but I just can't the way this team plays sometimes. And it's coming down to where we have to sweat this Guardians. I know we have 3 at home, and then we go 3 to their place, but are we going to really have to sweat this? When you just go from having the first round bye to having to sweat the Guardians, and it's just like it's been a wild season. Definitely not as fun as it was last year.
This is it's I want to say it's a fun series because it feels like a big series, but it's one of those series that
it's big. It's big.
I know, but it's not. It's fun in this standpoint. The Tigers don't have to do much because when you're up 6.5 with so little time left, one win is just crippling. The Guardians pretty much have to sweep them. If you look at their 6 games left against the Guardians, anything less than 5-1 against the Tigers from their standpoint, it's curtains. 4-2 doesn't do it. You're only making up 2 games. Like, they have to go minimum 5-1 to have a chance to catch the Tigers in my book. And so if you're the Tigers, that takes some of the pressure off. I guess if you start to lose and things mount, it's a big series. It feels like fun, except all year long, and for quite a while at least, I've been thinking what really matters to this Tigers team is if they finish in the first or second spot in the American League and get that bye. Because to me, if they don't get the bye, I don't even care if they win the division because they're not doing shit. If they don't get the bye in the first round, I know a lot of people got to win the division first. Great. What are you going to do then? Lose 3 games? It's not, or lose best of 3. Like, to me,
But you want to win that division.
Yes,
Yeah,
but winning the division only matters if you also. That's not if you also get the top 2 seed. To me, that's at this point it would be. I would not care if they won the division and didn't get a top 2 seed. It's not that I wouldn't watch those first wild card round, but it'd be like it's just going to end at some point here. The only chance they have to pull off 10-1 or whatever miracle it is if they get that bye and don't have to play the first round and can get Finnegan back healthy and set up Skubal and get that whole thing going, and that's the only chance they have. So with the Skubal scare yesterday, I know it came back that it was pretty much nothing, and but if Skubal goes out, there's no point of paying attention anymore. It'll be a fun week. And hopefully if we win. And probably the most entertaining thing we'll see this week, I know the Lions-Bears was, and when you're watching Lions-Bears or you're watching the Tigers, you got other things you want to watch, you can do so on the Xfinity Multiview. It's a great way to watch multiple games at once. It's something I finally took advantage of as a longtime Xfinity customer. Lots of great deals there for television, for internet, and for mobile phone. And you can bundle things as well. One of their mobile offers are fantastic relative to a lot of other companies. Same coverage as Verizon, but better prices. And they don't want to say this, but they'll say it. It's because they don't make their money off mobile, right? So their money is elsewhere, and so they're able to offer you a better deal. Take advantage of that. Go to Xfinity.com, type in your address. You'll see your offers for mobile, for home internet, and for television. And enjoy the Xfinity Multiview. It's a great way to watch football, basketball, whatever it is, to watch a number of college football games all at once on a Saturday. I am looking forward to the Michigan State bye week to do just that on the Xfinity Multiview. You guys need a week off. Yeah. You guys need it. That's right. We need it. Time. All right. Let's. Are you ready to dig into these? I got a couple of the hot takes, but they work within what the listeners are going to get to, so I'll just hold them. Sure. Good. All right. Let's dig in. Eric Schultz up first, number 1, and we're back to not believing in Jonathan Smith. An absolute embarrassment. Red flags galore. And 2, the fact that Youngstown looked relatively even with MSU at the line of scrimmage is, say it with me, Graham, unacceptable. And 3, I said in the preseason they had to be 3-0 at this point, and they are. The expectation remains 7-5, but I don't see how they get there. Well, how they get there, UCLA, Maryland, right? We're talking about 2 of those. That gets you to 5. And so the question is, where are the other 2? And the thing I would say is there are games, especially the home games, where I think they'll be up for them, where I think if they're healthy enough with Childs and Marsh and that receiving core and Amari Kelly, where they can be interesting. I think Michigan could be one of them. Now, Michigan looked like a buzzsaw against Central. And I know it's just Central Michigan, but that looked like a team unleashed. And then you talk about the transitive property and things like Stanford and Boston College. Well, New Mexico, who Michigan beat, and everybody thought that wasn't impressive, just laid one on UCLA. Now, UCLA is bad. They fired their coach because of that game. But that win over New Mexico now looks like a better win. So we'll see what Michigan is. This is a big week for Michigan playing at Nebraska. They're favored at Nebraska. That'll be really telling. Like, we learn a lot more. But Penn State has been better than Michigan State at times over the course of years and played games at Spartan Stadium that have been very close. What will Minnesota be when Michigan State goes there? Indiana, again, they look phenomenal, but they have played absolutely nobody. Now, Michigan State just played nobody and did not look phenomenal, so that's not good. In other words, your point is taken. I would not pick them to get to 7-5 right now. I would pick them to somewhere pick up another game, I think. But if I had to tell you, I wouldn't tell you to take under 5.5, and I don't think that line's out there anymore. But if I had to pick a number that seemed like the most likely finish, it would be 6-6. And Smith keeps his job after 6-6. Well, of course. Well, okay. First of all, it's still this is year 2. They owe him like $33 million. I have time. I'm sure the other rest of the fan base has time. Do you have $33 million? No, but if I did have it, I would definitely pay. That's how you do it? Yeah. For 6-6. What are we doing here? Well, then you go get a freaking left tackle and a rush end for $33 million. Is that you don't spend it on a buyout. Hey man, this is new college football. I'm trying to adapt here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I have no emotions when it comes to college football. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I think he's a good coach. I still think he's a good coach. Now, do I think people should be inspired by Saturday's performance? I do not. But I still think Jonathan Smith's a good coach. And I will tell you if that opinion changes. And there could come a point where I don't think he's the right fit or something like that. But 3 games in to a second year when they're 3-0 and they just played, an uninspiring performance, that's just not it. That's not the time.
Dominic next, number 1, made my inaugural appearance at the Midnight Tavern yesterday. T and Jason put out a ridiculously good spread. Pairs nicely with a 52-21 drubbing. The NFL is ass.
Bears fan.
Yeah, it was good to have you, though, man. Bonus, Costco wings are the groovy donuts of the poultry world. Elite. Hashtag Midnight Tavern. And 2.
I got these out of order.
Yeah, I see that. I should have looked at it. 2, I'm only returning out of respect for Jason. You did me dirty, Couch. One blue sky whiner gets me sanctioned. I demand the following. Why I choose a blue sky Karen over Dominic, much like his whoring ex chose unprotected sex with strangers over him. My column.
Welcome back, Dominic.
Did you apologize yet?
Apologize for what?
For banning him.
I didn't ban him.
You blocked him.
I didn't block him.
You censored him.
Dominic is an integral part of this show. I did not block him. I did not ban him.
Yeah.
He just took a couple weeks off.
It was good to have you, man. I'm sorry Graham did that to you. I guess
I
since
didn't
he
do
won't
anything.
apologize, I guess I'll apologize.
I didn't do anything.
Since I didn't do anything wrong either. Couch.
Didn't do it.
Maybe. It could be worse. MSU could have lost to the Penguins.
They could have lost to Penguins. There's no doubt. That would be a bad.
Yeah, those Penguins, man. I mean, that's a tough ball club over there.
It's a good nickname, though. I do like Penguins.
It's
as a nickname.
ass for football. Are you kidding me? The Penguins? Dude, come on.
I mean, is it worse than like the Hawaii Rainbows?
Oh. Well, if you're going to compare it to that. I mean, if you're going to find another terrible nickname.
But I think Penguins are just, I don't know.
The Hawaii Rainbows make sense. The Youngstown State Penguins.
The Colorado Care Bears. I don't really know what would, yes, it's not intimidating, but Penguins are a fierce bunch, by the way. People underestimate Penguins. Yeah, you don't want to fuck with
Would a penguin take you out?
Yes.
Or like
a group of penguins. Well, a group of penguins.
How many?
I bet you.
Dude, I would kick those things over. What's a penguin?
I don't know. They would waddle right up to you like
and you just kick it.
Cameraman in a locker room and knock you over. It would, yeah. I mean, I felt all of Fred Human.
How many would it take to take Fred Human out of Penguins?
Not many. I mean, he might fall on them, and it would be bad for the Penguins, but they would take him out.
Hopefully, it's not on ice.
I saw Fred Human yesterday.
Oh yeah? Did you feel all of Fred Human?
No, he was at, and I meant to say hi. I was at.
You looked through him.
I did not look through him. No, I waved. He was on the other side. I was at our editor. We had a gathering for her.
For what?
She's retiring. And it was like a gathering. And it was like people from like 30 years at the LSJ. It was a pretty good.
You saw him in his element. You saw him playing Keno.
And so he was at the bar watching the Lions Bears. Also, not there to say. I thought he would knew her or something because they've been in the.
I know we're not
for
friends, but how do you not send me like a picture? I mean, come on, that is Fred Human in the wild, doing what he normally does.
He was
looking at a Keno screen.
Fred in the wild, absolutely. Yeah.
Mickey Patterson and Troy Hunter next. Do you think Jonathan Smith would be interested in the UCLA job? And from Mickey, if so, would he leave a mid-season? And who would be a good new fit? Oh, wait. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Bonus, could they ever talk D'Antonio or Saban back? LOL, apparently somebody put.
Yeah, you don't want guys in their late 60s, 70s taking over at this point. Okay, to this question, because there were others who've asked this as well. I do not, I don't know what's in Jonathan Smith's head. And so I'm not going to say for sure I know.
That job's for Mel Tucker. What are we talking about? Why would Jonathan Smith want that gig?
Correct. I would be very surprised. I understand he grew up near UCLA. I mean, and he grew up near, on the West Coast, he's from the West Coast. But the UCLA job does not seem like one that would interest him in any degree. Number one, you're uplifting everything you're just starting at Michigan State. You're 2 years in. You see how hard it is. You'd have to do that again at UCLA. So it'd have to be like, this is the move I want to do forever. Number two, they don't have a fan base. They just don't. They don't in football. It's been 30 years since they've been drawing big regularly, and in LA they have so much else to do. It's in basketball they don't have a fan base. They are a fake blue blood. They are a John Wooden blue blood. But it's so easy to get tickets to Pauley Pavilion. This is not a place that really belongs in major college athletics. It's in LA. Which I'm not, look, he grew up there, but part of the reason he liked Michigan State was it was a town where life was easy. He lives 12 minutes from work. his family. It's easy on family life. It's easier for his coaches. It's all that stuff. It's a place where you can have that. The UCLA job is not a good one. Beyond the lack of fan base, they are in huge financial trouble. And so it's not just NIL. It's whether you can actually compete for resources elsewhere and all that sort of stuff. I don't know that the AD, who was previously at Michigan State, although there's no connection with Jonathan Smith, no overlap, I don't know whether he's going to be allowed to make the next hire because he just made the last hire. We'll see how long he's around. It's just not a good job. And, for some reason there's this obsession with okay, so it's so close to somebody's home, so they want the job. I never heard Nick Saban's name floated for the West Virginia job when it came open. Not everybody.
He didn't care about his family.
Yeah, not everybody's thinking I got to go home. Now, I get that he's a West Coast guy. I'm sure has been some culture shock in that sense for him and his family. His kids are integrated in the schools here. You got to think about that and all that. I have gotten zero inkling that he would be interested in uprooting. And so again, that's me getting zero inkling. I don't know what's going on in his head. I never say I'm 100% surprised by anything in the sport.
I would be surprised if he went to UCLA.
I would be very surprised by this offer. Yeah,
they had 83 fans watching get a blowout against the Lobos. They were getting their ass kicked.
They're in just a financial mess. It's not a good job. It'd be a restart.
And he doesn't have the person. I know we get mad because we rip on his personality. He doesn't have one. You don't have that kind of personality. You have to be like vintage Pete Carroll to go into that place and turn things around.
Right. Chip Kelly ran like hell from this job. And so it is not. I'll be
I don't know if he ran, but
Oh yeah, he waddled.
Yeah.
I would be very interested to see who they get, and I think it's a place for a young coach with a big personality who has been a head coach somewhere else, because that was part of the problem with Deshaun Foster, is he wasn't ready for that gig, and he wasn't. That's a really hard job. It's an incredibly hard job right now. You need great patience. You like Jonathan Smith at Michigan State. You need like a 7-year contract. You don't walk into that without knowing you're going to get time. Or you're going to
get broke off after you get fired after one season. Yeah,
and then you're also living in LA, so a $50 million contract is really only like a $30 million contract because it's expensive as hell to live there.
You get the school to pay for that. And
that's true.
As soon as you get fired, you leave.
Yeah, there are if Jonathan Smith at some point decides this isn't a fit at Michigan State, or Michigan State and him decide this isn't a fit, there will be other places that I think could come open at some point that would be more enticing to him. I do not see UCLA is one of them. It just doesn't. It's just a bad.
Why
gig.
are you answering this like it's a serious like?
Well, because
I know
a
couple of people brought it up.
Nah,
they're just firing in hot takes.
It's not just these two. A lot of people are curious because it's an easy thing to look at.
He's from there.
Area. Absolutely, and even like.
if they offered him some crazy amount of money,
even Huge is talking about that today, and so people are responding to that. The Huge one is talking about that. I'm doing his show later this afternoon. I'll try and talk him down off this one. He's pushing the Ferris State coach on Michigan State as the next hire, like it's already done.
Balky Bartakamis next. For MSU, this wasn't a dominant or even adequate defensive performance against an FCS opponent, but fans must realize that the focus was maintaining the edges and preventing the quarterback from running. An aggressive pass rush was not in the plan, so no need to overreact yet. Well, too late, Balky.
Yeah. The problem is they haven't had a pass rush in a while. It'd be one thing if this was like they had a pass rush and then all of a sudden they weren't doing it
because
2
sacks against Youngstown.
And then they had bad run fits in some key moments, and that's why they wound up giving up some big gains. There were a lot of things to be concerned about with the defense. You can't – like if Michigan State was about to play a season in the Missouri Valley Conference, I'd say this was a promising game. They're going to be in the playoffs, and they've got a chance to win an FCS title. Unfortunately, that's not the standard.
Moneybag, I don't want to hear about how expensive elite pass rushers are in the portal. I never asked for an elite for MSU. The average MAC team's pass rush would have showed more of a plus against an FCS team than ours did.
By the way, I apologize for saying that's the standard, like I'm some football coach. The standard's the standard. We play to the standard. Sorry, I'd try not to do that. We'll fix that in post. That's awful. And that's you're right in this sense, Moneybag. Like the idea that like Western Michigan had a defensive lineman who was better than, more effective at least than anybody we've seen from Michigan State. And those guys are out there, and you got to find them in the portal. Right, that's the question.
Talk to them at halftime?
How do you get these guys? And how do you do it ethically? Well, some of these guys aren't.
Ethics. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes these guys have to be in the portal, and then it's tough to get them. But this is going to have to be.
Let's cheat.
Well, no, this is going to have to be a real point of emphasis going forward, and it should have been already. And I think they thought they brought in a number of defensive ends. It's not like they didn't bring in guys. We just haven't seen it work yet, and it's not just about the defensive ends. I mean, there are other points in terms of getting to the quarterback and other ways to do it, and we just haven't seen it enough.
Bibby next. Boston College loss at Stanford is more demoralizing for MSU season than the performance on Saturday versus Youngstown State.
It's not great, but I think if you watch that game and if you know, like, again, it's one of those things, and this is why the AP poll is so jacked up and people don't know. National writers never know things, and you look at a score and you think, like, I was following a couple of the Boston College writers on social media and following that game. And there's like, I mean, picture losing Nick Marsh and Aiden Childs, not Aiden Childs because they had their quarterback, and they did quit on that game. They did quit. But again, I would say this: the team that played at Michigan State, that Boston College team, would have beaten Stanford handily. That team didn't show up, and that's college kids, and that's not great either. I'm just saying it's not. It wasn't the same situation.
Our boy Graham Dietz, yeah, he was tweeting like an MFer.
Yeah,
he started following him, and I'm like, man, this kid doesn't quit. He's got good Adderall. Matt Boone, number 1. As much as the game was not fun, if MSU just didn't have injuries, we would feel okay about the team. And 2, the USC game will not show us how much on how the team will do the rest of the season with time and who we won't probably have for the game. Feels like it will be BC game like last year with injuries.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I would ask people to do is if whatever happens at USC, if that's your take, hold that take if they beat Nebraska. That's got to maintain as your.
Oh my God, I got to hold it for a week.
No, I'm just I'm not hold it.
Oh,
make your take.
Oh, yeah.
But then that's got to maintain. That's got to keep being your take. In other words, things could still change several times over this season. So
I can't change my take
when you're formulating a take. Make it present tense, but not like has to be what is. God, that's so bad. Fix that in post. I don't know why I'm telling people to do shit. I suck at this.
Teaching a Twitter class.
Fuck, dude, I'm awful.
People love being told how to do things.
If this was the first 3 minutes of the show, I would start it over. I would, because that's just not that. I will.
We go live.
Yeah. I will tell you something you should do though. Is we get in the fall, order a muskox flannel. Like if you look like us, is hideous, double chinned, fat creatures of the night. Don't be that. You can be better. A muskox flannel can improve the way you look. Like my wife, the way she looks at me when I'm wearing a muskox flannel versus not, it's just 2 totally different things. I'm able to fool her. I'm able to maintain my marriage. You'll be better off. If you're going to a tailgate, you're just going to hang out and do your day. And I'm wearing a muskox flannel today. It's warm outside, but I'm okay. It's comfortable. It's not.
Do you wear it in bed?
I have not worn it in bed. I mean,
when you go to sleep. Like I'm not trying to ask.
I've fallen asleep in my recliner wearing it with Spot on the arm. Yeah, no question.
Yeah, I saw Spot in real life today, not the AI generated stuff.
Yeah,
Spot looks different.
They've got great new flannel offerings. They've also got T-shirts and hats. Go to gomuskox.com and for a flannel you can get $15 off with the promo code Peacock. Get ahead of the cold weather. Get ahead of the change. Look your best this fall. Gomuskox.com with a muskox flannel.
Nestle's Quick Hotel next. Number 1, there isn't one future NFL player on MSU's defense. And 2, there isn't a single future Hall of Famer on the Lions defense. What? Brian Branch, bro. I wear his jersey. You think I'm going to buy a jersey of a guy that's not making the Hall of Fame when we win a Super Bowl? And bonus, you wanted hot and tight takes. Those are Carmen Electra style.
There you go. That's what we asked for.
Hot and stupid. I mean, come on. There's no future Hall of Famer on the Lions D. It's Brian Branch.
If Brian Branch was injured now, he would not be a Hall of Famer. But yeah, he has a chance.
Why do you have to talk that way?
I'm sorry.
Why do you even have to speak that into
I'm sorry.
existence?
I'm sorry for putting that in.
It's ridiculous.
And I would say even for MSU, you just don't know there are enough young guys. What Jordan Hall will be, you don't. I mean, there sometimes hold on, give me
Cockburn.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Cockburn.
Up.
Come on.
Okay, like
Come on.
Ben Van Summeren playing for the Eagles.
BVS.
Yeah, right. BVS, as we call him. Like, I didn't think he was a pro when he was at Michigan State. Like, there will be guys, I think, on that in that secondary or in that linebacker room or on the interior defensive line that play in the NFL. But when you say there aren't as in a pro, I know what you mean by like first three round pick, right? Guy who's like clearly an NFL dude. And right now there isn't that guy. And that's why the defense looks like it does. You got to have difference makers there, and they haven't shown to have it yet.
In Sparty, we trust next. For this MSU team to have a prayer against USC, Childs will need to have a career day and hope to win in a shootout.
It would be a Childs epic performance. And you know, I think he's more capable of it, obviously, than he was a year ago, and I think people trust that he's more capable of having a big day. He's still a player that, you know, he's still a college quarterback, though, and he still needs to be protected. He still needs weapons to do their thing. I think Jack Velling having the game he did, finally being healthy, having a game that I didn't know he was going to have all year. Like he didn't, you know, Velling had a couple of 6-catch games last year, but I never thought he was the player that he was sort of touted to be. He looked like that player. And again, FCS opponent, but he looked quick. He looked like a guy who was in the places where Childs needed him to be. And I think that was a really good development for them. To have a prayer, you're right, though. It's going to take the offense. But this is what we thought about Michigan State. We thought the defense might be better than this. But we thought the passing game, and again, Nick Marsh has to be healthy, has a chance to be a difference maker, the sort of difference they haven't had that sort of gives them a chance to play up a little bit. And we'll see.
Alex Mayer next. If Michigan State can effectively run the ball and shorten the game, they have a chance this week. The travel is killer, though.
They'll leave on Thursday. I think they're going to see the Pacific Ocean when they get right in, is what Jonathan Smith said. A lot of the guys have never seen it. So that right
it's a
when
great
they get
ocean,
in,
man.
Yeah, why don't you go see the Pacific? I like it. It's
one of the best oceans.
It's one of the best.
They're tough.
Top 5 ocean?
Top 5 ocean over there. Hey, you look at that ocean right there. That's a top 5 ocean. That's an intimidating ocean. It's a good ocean.
Yeah. And, you know, you want to make sure your quarterback can throw the ball in the ocean.
Wing it.
The running game last week was also a concern, and losing Mekhi Frazier I don't think is as big a problem in the running game, because I do think Brandon Tullis is a pretty good running back. What he has shown so far is not to be great in pass protection, and that's a concern. Frazier was their most complete back, I think, and my guess is he does not play this week.
Ralph E. up next. Ebling's guest Bob Trippy said MSU hasn't won a regular season away game to a West Coast Pacific Time team since 1957. And I did not fact check him. Yeah. Yeah, those guys are better than AI. I mean, I would trust them as well. You don't need to look it up.
Ebling's people know, because they were around in 57. So they remember it. They were there. They were at the game.
The press pass.
Yeah, they have not won a regular season game. Like they've obviously won bowl games and things, but even recently, you just think the Oregon games, the game at Washington, games at Arizona, or Arizona State rather, have not gone well, and they have not played there a ton, but it is also not gone great.
So what we're saying is hammer USC.
Well, those teams weren't in a conference before now. At some point, Michigan State will win one of these games out west because they're just going to play one of these guys every year. It's going to be UCLA, or it's going to be, somebody is going to have a down year. Like if they played UCLA on the road this year, they would get that win, right? It's schedule based.
So.
Yeah, right.
Jebediah 4-8 is back on the table for MSU, boys. But seriously, stop scheduling FCS teams. They just make everyone feel worse, and we get like 10 season-ending injuries every time. And from Jeff Peterson, MSU looks more like a 4-8 team than the 6-6 team.
Well, 4-8 requires you lose to UCLA or Maryland at the end of the year, but looks like 4-8 to 6. Like they don't look. Here's why that's wrong in my book, and just even in terms of appearance. Take the schedule out of it. There aren't going to be many 4-8 teams that have a quarterback and receiver combos like this. That's not a team that goes 4-8 most of the time, right? Because you're going to beat. They have the ability to upset people. Michigan State has what mid-majors have to pull upsets. And so one of the reasons that I think what happened with Youngstown State was a little surprising is usually a team like that, to really be in the game and threaten a team and cause damage, has to have a quarterback who can sling it and a wideout who's a pro, or a wideout who can hurt you. And they didn't really have that, and yet they still slung it, and they still hurt Michigan State from time to time, and that's not the way it's supposed to go. But so when you're playing up, and Michigan State will sort of play teams that may be more seasoned or have more strengths than they do, you have to have those guys that give you a chance to because then people start worrying about Marsh and Omari Kelly, and it becomes easier to run the ball. And Maybe they'll be able to still run the ball this season. They did well in the first 2 weeks. We'll see. So I still think this is a team that, again, this is why I would pick 6-6. I think they'll beat Maryland. If you had to think about it now, they'll beat Maryland at Ford Field. They'll beat UCLA. And I just think there's another game in there somewhere where the guys they have, be it Nebraska, be it maybe even Indiana, who hadn't played anybody. Now, Indiana's quarterback looks good. They look really good. But, again, they're not playing anybody. It's embarrassing who Indiana's played. So I think there's another win.
Bob tweets next. Best take. Michigan State is a 5-6 win team right now, and just like Vegas predicted. And baked take. Lions beat the Ravens and bet the over.
I don't think that's baked. That could happen.
Yeah.
I think the Lions and Ravens are even teams. And you don't?
The defense. I'm worried about Lamar is all.
Well, everybody.
I just think our
That's
defense, our linebackers and pass rush isn't on the same as the Ravens D. I'm sorry. I hope I'm wrong. I'm just trying to be real.
Yeah, you want to face Lamar in the playoffs and postseason. That's when things usually tend to although it hasn't been his fault. Sometimes something else has gone wrong. And you could say the same for Jared Goff, frankly. You want to face him in the playoffs.
Todd Trusadell next. MSU's defense is so bad they have to play zone inside the 10-yard line against an FCS team. Pathetic. I can't see 6 wins.
Yeah, it's amazing how bad the vibes flipped in one week.
It was.
Win.
Yeah, I was noticing that on Twitter too. Everybody was depressed. Yeah. MSU is at serious risk of losing by 40+ next weekend against USC. Did I read this already? Defense is atrocious?
No.
Is that back to back?
They just sounded like,
oh, shit.
Yep, keep them coming. Keep them going.
Fuck. All right. David Jackson, I know everyone's take is that we're going to get massacred in Los Angeles, but I don't see that. Elite special team play and explosive passing means Michigan State will stay in the game.
So I think this is a reasonable take here from David. I mean, that's the thing. Now, again, Marsh's health is part of that. But if you've got a decent return game, and it sucks for Alante Brown that he's out. But, Amari Kelly showed what they can do in punt. They're dangerous in punt returns. They've got an amazing punter. Their field goal kicker is 4 for 4 this year. So special teams, you have a chance. Offense, I think you have a chance, if the right guys are healthy, to be a team that causes some problems. And the question is whether your defense can hold up and be resilient and be timely. Can you get a turnover somewhere? This is one of those games where you've got to find a way to a couple turnovers. You got to win that turnover battle, I think, and the defense has to come up with it, and maybe that's in them. But this game and the Nebraska game will be really, really telling. And again, different opponents, but what does this defense have to them? Is this going to be a problem where they're getting steamrolled, and this is a really rough season coming along, or do they have the ability to put together a couple possessions here and there where they get off the field quickly, and so even though they have some weaknesses, it's not quite that bad.
Austin Wolf, the MSU line is plus 15.5 at USC on FanDuel. What's the percent chance to cover and chance to win?
Yeah, I've seen up to 17.5. Now, is that right? 17.5. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it'll get to.
So what's that money line? Plus 310 or something? Or
yeah. The problem is it's the Nick Marsh thing. What I would do is I would not. If you want to bet Michigan State, I would hold off on this till Marsh is playing. If he's not, I wouldn't touch it. I just wouldn't, because you could see this being a 21-point game or worse, or something that unravels on them. If they're a little more healthy offensively, I can also see this being a fairly competitive game. They just beat Purdue by 16 now that was on the road. I think Michigan State's better than Purdue, and I would just wait to see that, because if you get this thing above 17 and you've got Nick Marsh playing, I don't think that's the worst line in the world for Michigan State.
Dan Grafe, as bad as some of the quarterbacks are in college this year, it's possible Childs can play himself into a first-round pick this coming draft.
It'll be interesting to see if he keeps this up. If he does, say, really good next couple games, and they get to the midpoint and he's playing well on the road a couple places, and he obviously has a lot of athletic tools to him, and he's keeping his head up, and he's making mostly good throws and not turning the ball over, like what the NFL starts to think of him, and that'll be something to start looking at. It's not just about the other quarterbacks sucking. The NFL is always obviously going to take 1 or 2 in the first round, because they always do, even if guys aren't great. But they don't dip that far down just because there aren't other guys. Is Indiana's quarterback right now getting played? Nobody looks better. What is he as an NFL prospect? They're two different things too, right? It's like, who is somebody as a college quarterback and what are they as a pro prospect? and those are different things. I just think it's really early on Childs, but I don't think it's impossible because he does have an NFL arm. He has some gifts with his legs that are hard to teach. Can't teach.
Big John Hogg next. Number one, maybe the Packers are good. Rube, since Couch isn't an MSU fan, who do you dislike more, Michigan or Green Bay? There is a correct answer to this, by the way. And 2, Jonathan Smith to UCLA mentions are bad for everyone, including UCLA. He doesn't fit their profile and needs more time here. And 3, fuck the Bears.
Who do you dislike more,
Bears.
Michigan or Green Bay?
Oh, man. Green Bay fans are nice. They're just kind of dumb. They just cheer for whatever. Like 4th down? Oh, yeah, all right, guys, good try.
Well, they own the team. They feel like there's some ownership.
Yeah, we've heard that. Michigan fans, I've been there in my life. I'm like, my best friend is a Michigan fan, so I like him, obviously. There's the Uper Green Bay fans that really piss me off just because they're the UP. They think they have to root for Green Bay.
But not the fan base. Who do you hate more, just as a team? When you're watching a game, who gives you more of a visceral reaction?
I'm sorry, I was taking that as the fan base. Yeah, I hate Green Bay.
Okay.
Because the Lions mean so much to me, and the Michigan State thing, I just dead inside on that. So fuck yeah, Green Bay. Sorry. Neurotic pants. Number 1, there is no transitive property, but other teams will study poor play on the line of scrimmage and in the secondary based on this Saturday. And 2, Youngstown State lost no one to the portal and looked better prepared than MSU for much of the game. Size isn't everything. And 3, without Childs, MSU loses.
Well, I think that's fair. Yeah, yeah. I mean, without
you roll with Alissimo.
Yeah, without a lot of starting quarterbacks, a lot of teams lose.
He didn't get a rep, did he? Did he get any reps?
Well, that was one of the. I mean, there were a number of things that went poorly for Michigan State. I thought, and they played a lot of guys defensively, so it's not like guys didn't get in who might have otherwise, and that might have been part of the issue. But I thought one of the real misses here was a chance for Alessio to get reps, right? And if you've got a game, if you've got a game where you've put it away mid-third quarter, and the whole fourth quarter at least is the backup quarterback, and even if you're not throwing a lot in those possessions, if he gets able to throw a couple passes and get his feet wet and see some completions, you just never know when you're going to need that guy. And this was a real missed opportunity. The next time you're going to need him is going to be a competitive game. Now, maybe they'll be down by so much in a game that he gets reps at some point, but like that was your chance to be up in a game where there were low leverage snaps for a quarterback you want to give some confidence to on game day, and they blew it.
Sunshine Spartan next. Number 1, the pants Aiden Childs and a couple other players are wearing are complete ass. Why are they wearing biker shorts? And 2, it felt great beating that smarmy Ben Johnson when they asked if Lions were running up the score. Priceless.
So it is weird what the football players wear. Like even running backs don't have knee pads on anymore. Like I understand ever since Ed McCaffrey, they always thought they got slowed down by knee pads. If I were running a insurance company that dealt with medical players for college athletes or NFL play, I would tell you flat out, you want to be covered on a knee injury, you wear knee pads. Yeah. We are not.
McCaffrey did break his leg.
Well, there you go.
Back in the day,
we are not covering your knee injuries as an insurance company unless you wear a knee pad on a football field. That is effing insane. It's like I just don't. I don't get how much does it really slow you down? If everybody's wearing knee pads, then you're no slower than the next guy. Everybody put a knee pad on, or you pay for out of pocket, for your own knee injury. That would be my thing.
That's the way to solve it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Rich LC next. Aiden Childs will contend for all conference honors and bonus. Dana White and Netflix will prove good for boxing, especially if they start big fights before 1 a.m., but Netflix has got to improve the picture quality. And Baked the Couch, weird ass Musk equivalent baby names would be, I don't even know how to say it.
Yeah.
Dash 30 dash.
Yeah.
And Deadline and Donut.
Yeah, so the equivalent, that's right.
Dash Donut.
He's got, so if I put at the end of a story, you can put dash 30 dash. It means the end. You're done. Finished.
Finn.
Or if I named a kid, yeah, Finn's not a horrible name, but if I named a kid dash 30 dash, Deadline or Donut, that would be like what Elon Musk.
Finn isn't a terrible name. I mean, it's
like
no Marmaduke.
Finn is not a bad name. I played soccer with a guy named Finn.
Oh,
good guy.
All right,
good
turn the corner.
Yeah,
I like Finn.
There you go.
John Johnson, number 1. What would you set the odds at that Nick Marsh transfers after this year? If MSU makes a bowl game, it'll be the minimum 6 games, in my opinion. Is he really going to stick around another year where winning versus another low-end Power 4 team, Boston College, is the highlight of the season? And to take the live under on MSU, if it got bumped up a couple games now that they're 3-0, there's no way this team wins 7 games. Thank God more enforcements are on the way. Oh, wait, never mind. It's just a bunch of low-end 3-stars. Maybe they'll get another transfer from Hillsdale. 3, does Jonathan Smith have a buyout if he were to leave mid-contract? And if he does, would MSU be willing to waive it if he wanted to leave?
John Johnson, not optimistic. We'll put him in the not optimistic category. It's a lot less now that Alan Haller left. Part of his deal was the buyout was contingent on Haller still being the AD, so he could get out of things relatively inexpensively if he wanted to. Man, a lot of anti-Jonathan Smith stuff here. I with Nick Marsh, again, I don't know what's in his head. I doubt right now he's even thought of that. He is a different kind of cat, though, I think. And he's got one more year before the NFL after this year. So if Michigan State has a 4-7 or a 4-8, 5-7 year, and he doesn't, and Childs were to leave, and he wanted to play in like the biggest games, I can't tell you it couldn't happen. I also think that some guys realize they want a place to come back to, and to be, Keon Coleman, for example, still views and Keon Coleman has a weird relationship with MSU fans because MSU fans still sort of welcome him and love him, and everything went so badly for Michigan State after him. But
he did leave at the right time.
He did, and I would be a little surprised if that happened with Nick Marsh, just based on everything he's said, everything his mother said. Like, again, could it happen? Could he want something else? I don't know that money, though, will be the issue because I think Michigan State will be able to do pretty well by him, because they have obviously revenue sharing, and Nick Marsh will not be somebody they go cheap on. And then if he's got a quarterback and you're a year away from the NFL and you know the system and you know you're going to be featured, again, it's not that Nick Marsh couldn't find his way somewhere else. I just think I would be a little surprised if it happened.
Spartan Dog 97, Alan Haller has doomed this MSU football program to mediocrity. And our only hope is that UCLA falls for the same bullshit Haller did and bails us out with his bad decision.
Again, not a Jonathan Smith fan at this point. Again,
You think it's the personality that, or is it a lot of Youngstown State game?
I think it's people are. I think it's a lot of things. One, it's
not calling a timeout in the first half.
It's also just it stems from what happened at the end of the Mel Tucker era. They had the one season, the end of D'Antoni. It's just been a long time since MSU has looked like a legitimate force, and people are tired of it, and they don't see it right now. They don't see the potential for it with Smith, and Smith's a developmental coach. It took a minute at Oregon State, and people don't have that time to give right now, and so that's where it is. I do think he's not the most inspiring communicator, and so that also is there. I think he's a good coach.
And I think it's because of the current way college football is. If this were maybe 15 years ago, Jonathan Smith definitely would get the time he would need. But unfortunately, it's college football's all different.
Well, I think he was a coach that was really good at building that way. And they may be now, too. Because, again, this is going to be evaluating year after year. Like, let's look at next year's rosters across the sport when everybody's got about 15, 16 million to spend. And it's the decisions you make. And then some teams – and we'll see what it looks like as teams go over that and what Michigan State does. Are they playing too much by the book? Are other teams limited a little bit more? And what those decisions are and who they're able to bring in. It's just too quick. It sucks that the Mel Tucker era ended like it did and went like it did, but that's not on Jonathan Smith, right? He took over a program that just was in a shit way. And, obviously they don't look great against Youngstown State, but they're 3-0 going into the Big Ten season. Having one exhilarating win, it seems like this is a little negative.
Ken Chu next. When they build the skywalk connecting the east and west upper decks of Spartan Stadium, nobody will remember that this was Alan Haller's idea.
Alan Haller could have cured cancer, and people would be down on him right now. Haller, I actually think overall will age well as an AD if Jonathan Smith pans out. A lot of it, I think, Nightingale, obviously, home run get, and people can say, well, that was sort of handed to him. But he made the hire. Freilich, I think, was a good hire. I think he did a good job on a number of fronts. But ultimately, and he knew this. So he and I talked about this. He knew he would be judged by the football coach hire. That's who you are. And so if Jonathan Smith does not pan out at Michigan State, that'll be on Haller, and that'll ultimately be more of his lasting legacy. The hockey thing helps, though. It does, because that program's been so resurrected to such a degree.
MCV, next. Number one, college football needs a preseason consisting of 1 to 3 games of the FCS opponents only, and teams can only schedule D1 in the regular season. And bonus, there will be more college football head coaches fired this year than any season in recent memory.
It'll depend on the buyouts. It costs a lot.
There's already, what, 2?
Yeah.
3?
Yeah.
Tech, UCLA.
And it's weird when it happens early, too. Like, I think if you fire a coach in September, and the Michigan State thing with Mel Tucker was different, right? Because that was a off-the-field situation that led to that. It was misconduct. But if you fire a coach for performance in September, and if you put in a whole offseason, whole summer, all that, and if you're the AD who hired them and you're still there, you got to go. You got to go. And because it's weird, you wait all year for this. You get 3 weeks. Now you're waiting until next year again to start over. Like, you got to go. Now, I know UCLA was in a tough spot of the timing of the hire and all that stuff. But, man, that is just not good. I think a lot of it will depend. And look, I think it's more fair to the players to do it early in this sense. They haven't played 4 games yet. Any kid who wants to walk away from that has their redshirt season left doesn't burn a year. Like, they can stay in school and finish the semester. They can transfer somewhere now. They won't be able to play this year. But, like, that, in some ways, getting a coach fired before 4 games is the most fair thing you can do to the players. In other ways, it sucks because you're just punting on a season. But I don't know that UCLA or Virginia Tech were going anywhere this year anyway.
David.
You okay?
Sorry. David Parks, lukewarm take. MSU defense might give up 500 yards of offense this week at USC. Hashtag bet accordingly.
I haven't looked at what the over is yet. For team total over, I don't know if that's out yet. It'll be interesting because MSU's defense is going to hear this. What do they come up with this week? What they know they're up against it, and people doubt them. I'm very curious to see what it looks like.
Daniel R. Patterson next. Another baller game for Childs. Gained 346 yards. 3-0 MSU must improve D bigly to compete at USC. Injuries to Marsh, running back Frazier, and offensive line may slow the offense. Next man up. Are MSU night games fans louder? I say yes. Watch for a noticeable turnout of Western Spartans at the Coliseum. Take MSU plus 13. And the over, apparently.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you're going to bet better than plus 13. You find 13 somewhere.
That's all he needs.
You take USC, and then you take Michigan State plus 17.5, and you try and hit that middle is what you do.
That alternate line. Plus 13, though. You paid?
Yeah, I do think it'll be a good showing for Michigan State. I do think you'll hear the fans. Because I think people... You can say, well, it wasn't a great week, but people are planning to go where the ticket's already booked. People who live out there, this is an event. They're going. And so I think it'll be a good showing.
Brian Schmack of Southern Maine next. Best. The easiest money this weekend was Bitch Tits Poggi covering. He had one shot to audition for his next head coaching gig, and he was going to smother the chips in his moobs. And bonus, I set an alarm this morning so I could put both of the dollars in my DraftKings account on USC to cover. We're cooked.
Both dollars. Yeah.
Congrats on the $4.
Yeah, it'd be $4. Yeah. Michigan was. Do you think Michigan, if Sharon Moore is the coach and they're not feeling slighted and whatever, and they don't have an interim coach, do you think Michigan drills Central to the degree they did?
Yeah, because Central didn't even show up to do anything. I mean, you have to just. Why would you not blow their ass out by 60? I don't care who's doing what. It's just pathetic.
I think that's the frustration Michigan State fans had. But part of the reason that happened is because, Central doesn't have playmakers down the field that can hurt you, and it's hard for those teams to have that anymore given the revenue sharing and the transfer portal. But neither did Youngstown State. Like, that's what people wanted Michigan State to look like against Youngstown State, and that's what it's supposed to look like when physically you're the superior team.
Rich Searing, number one, pass rush is non-existent and will kill this team. The DBs could be average with a little help from pressure on the quarterback. And 2, Ramo can't pass block against defenders with an ounce of athleticism, and Tullis doesn't block a soul. And 3, Nick Marsh is essential for even having a chance to win against USC.
The offensive line is going to get interesting. They've got a couple injuries. They had a couple guys go off the field, and I think that are okay that weren't really brought up. But again, this was supposed to be depth, and depth is a big part of developing a program. The idea this year for Michigan State, injuries are going to happen. Like nothing that's happened to Michigan State yet is like out of the ordinary or isn't happening anywhere else. Boston College has lost half their top dudes, guys they can't replace. Like this is the way it goes. This is football. This is why you don't play guys till week 11 in the NFL, as I always say. Whatever. But I do think like if your depth is real, if your program is healthy, if your program is on like that's the test in November. That's the test as the season goes along. How much do you drop off as guys get hurt? You see it even in the NFL level, and it's harder to have depth there with a 53-man roster. I mean, injuries do matter. Some things are an excuse. Some things are a reason, right? Look at the Vikings-Falcons game. The Falcons lose an all-pro defensive back on one possession right before the half, and on the next possession, his replacement gives up like this 60-yard pass play, to Justin Jefferson, right? So, like stuff does matter. Levels of play matter, but you got to have depth overall to withstand it, and we're going to find out.
Shep next, number 1, Jonathan Smith is the chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant. No one goes there for the chips and salsa. Everyone likes chips and salsa, but is there for something else and would be disappointed if the whole meal is chips and salsa.
I don't know if that's
pretty good.
Yeah?
I like that one.
All right.
2, great tailgate in East Lansing on Saturday. Came into town from Pittsburgh with my son and saw the MSU and Lions games. Stadium experience was pretty good, but they played DJ music at the exact same time the cheerleaders are trying to get the MSU chant going. Poorly coordinated. And bonus, last week, after close to a decade of loyal listening, my question was the first one asked in the show. It was one of the best days of my life. Better than my first wedding for sure, but not as good as my second.
That's usually the way it is when one wedding doesn't pan out. Yeah.
Well, we didn't have Dominic, and there's like 4 other people didn't write in, so we figured it was your turn.
Shep, we appreciate you. It was a good question, and that's why it led. Also, if anybody who's coming in, let me start here. No, what? Jesus Christ. Really good pianist. Anybody who's coming into town, I would recommend, if you're looking for a place to go, Midtown Brewing Company, by the way. We haven't really had a story worth telling yet because, I don't know, you and I just don't have stories today or something. I don't know. Here's a story. You have Monica, Andrew, Dominic, you, T in a room watching the Lions yesterday. What was that like? Give me a story.
Give you a story? It was I've never smoked that much weed in one day. I was constantly just chain smoking joints. There really wasn't a story. Dominic did show up after the second half. He is a Bears fan. It was fun giving the Bears fans a little bit of shit. My wife was a diehard, unless it's against her fantasy team. Jake Bates. So she was rooting for Jake Bates, but she's a Bears fan. So it was kind of giving her shit about that. She loves her fantasy team more than she does the Bears. But honestly, there was no real, stories, man. We all just relaxed, had a good time, had some laughs, and watched some good football.
Well, that is a story not worth telling. Still presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. If you want to get together with friends, watch a game, Sex and the City themed trivia coming up as well. Trivia on Eddie Tuesday night. It's a great place for a beer after work, for a work lunch. If you want an event, they're great at hosting. Love their menu, love their food. They'll take care of you. And the American Stout is one of my favorite beers in the world. Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
People came to your house. Tell us a story. Skylar Verdon, hot take. Mid-game interviews with an unrelated celebrity person is the worst thing ever invented. Completely detracts from the game, especially when they interview during the action.
You just don't get a lot of...
You could say all of the interviews, like the pregame where they talk to the quarterback, or the coach interview in between quarters. Or
people are bad at asking questions, too. Like, it's not...
Yeah, but there's the answers, too. I give, sideline reporters shit, but, I mean, really, you're not going to get any... You're just doing your job. You're trying to get something, right?
And a lot of celebrities aren't that interesting and aren't that good at... Some are. If you were to get a McConaughey or Jack Black or somebody on the sidelines, you probably got a good... I don't know. I'm just making up names here. You probably get something good, right? And like, we know that even, like, people always... You want more athletes. The Kenneth Walker experience that we had. Here's a story we're telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company.
Here we go.
You remember the Kenneth Walker, this is early NIL days, and somebody at Kenneth Walker's reps when he was at MSU reached out and see if we wanted him on the show. Like, all right, yeah. I mean,
This show?
This show.
Oh, yeah.
I think I told you this. Kenneth Walker, I've talked to Kenneth Walker many times. He's not the greatest interview in the world. It's not that interesting.
Yeah, but who's interviewing them, though. Maybe if you just talk to them about some random stuff instead of like, oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
KW9, when you rush the ball against Michigan, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't say no. I said, yeah, we'd love to have him. They tweeted, well, have your people reach out to our people, and we'll figure out. It was a negotiation. It was a price. They wanted us to pay for it.
Oh.
And people do that. Look, there is paid media. There are a lot of times you see interviews on TV or radios that nobody else is getting. They are paying for them, and radio stations do it sometimes. And look, I'm not going to begrudge that. In the journalism world, it's not something we do. You're not supposed to do it, and it's not something because of my affiliation with the LSJ we would ever do here. But I had to write back, and I didn't mean to be mean, but I just told him. I said, "Have you ever listened to your client interview?"
Oh no.
I just said,
Did you say that?
I said, look, we would love to have him on, but man, that's not an interview a lot of people are going to pay for.
How much did they want?
I don't know. We never got to that point. I just said we're not paying for it. We're not going to pay for. We're not going to pay for a shit interview.
I understand that.
We can do shit interviews for free every week.
I know that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I would be curious to see what the chart, 500 or something like.
I don't know. Yeah,
1,000.
It's probably gone up. Back then it was early NIL, so I don't even know what it was. That is a story almost worth telling. Actually, probably worth telling. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
Nate, best firing a coach this early into the season is the next best thing to canceling a real fuck you to the entire program. If I were UCLA or Virginia Tech, I'd fire some players as well. And baked. Flannel-themed jerseys are awesome.
Here you go. Muskox flannel. Let's see if we can get a jersey in flannel.
Oh, yeah, they could do that.
Yeah.
Minor league team or something. Baseball jersey.
If some of the shit college football teams where you could do it at the college football level.
True.
Yeah.
I just figured, minor league baseball does that kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, get some of these programs on the phone.
Do it in July.
Go Muskox.com, yeah. And, you get the whole team, $15 off a flannel for GoMuskox.com.
There you go. Max, I know that they are separate issues based on the way MSU funds their athletic department, but it may become hard to justify increased athletic spending while the general budget is being cut by 6% and people are losing their job.
Well, see, this is ultimately the question, right? It's like when somebody comes in and says, should Magic do NIL? And I'm like, no, because the Lansing Promise should be its priority. What is the priority in life? What does sports actually matter? I feel this way about Pablo Torre sometimes. Pablo Torre is like the foremost authority right now in investigative sports journalism, and he's just bringing down Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers hour after hour, day after day. And I keep thinking to myself, there's a lot more important shit than Kawhi Leonard's contract in this world, and Pablo's really good. Like, we ought to have him somewhere else. But then again, I also like what he's doing with this. It's fun to read.
He's like Matt Mancarini.
I
see some of his stories. Like, why is he covering this? He's better than that.
Well, that's fair. We want him in Lansing. We're not trying to.
Well, I
understand.
I know. I'm just saying.
That's Matt Mancarini, by the way, a guy who looks good in a Muskox flannel. He looks better.
Does he ever wear one?
Oh yeah,
he wears the same white shirt every time I see him.
Well, no, yeah, but in
like
the
a
summer,
magician.
Maybe in the summer, but yeah, he's a Muskox flannel guy.
Jordan Villarreal next. Jonathan Smith has started running out with the team this year. He's caught the bug. That man is a Spartan. And bonus, having some pressure on the QB was cool, but Rossi is on the hot seat. RD needs to show some proof of life.
Yeah, I think Joe Rossi's a good coordinator. It's not working real well early
Let me
on
ask
this year.
you, does Smith seem like a kind of guy? Let's say this goes haywire against USC, bye week, Nebraska. Defense still looks terrible. Is Smith the kind of guy that could make a move in season to get rid of your decoy?
No, because Smith is an offensive guy, and he deals on the offensive side. You're not going to do that. You wouldn't do that to Rossi. Other coordinators would pay attention. Now, his former defensive coordinator at Oregon State, who's the head coach there, might lose his job, and he was well regarded as a defensive coordinator at Oregon State. And so that, who knows moving forward if Joe Rossi found another opportunity or wanted to do something else. But Joe Rossi is a good coordinator. I don't think he has the horses right now, but some of that's on him because and it's on the staff, like part of being a college football coach is roster assembly, is getting the horses, is having the money to do so. And if you don't, explaining why you don't. It's not just, it's a little different because you can do this through the portal.
Gideon next. We've got to start calling out the names of these chump AP voters. How does Koki Riley have a winless Notre Dame in the top 10 on their AP ballot? And how is Clemson still getting votes?
So, as I said, Notre Dame their 2 losses are better than any of Indiana's 3 wins. I mean, they lost narrowly to a Miami team that could be as good as anybody in the country. They lost a really close game. And there's some questionable calls as well to Texas A&M last week. I mean, like they're 0-2, and they played 2 incredibly difficult games, close games They could be 3-0. They could have scheduled 3 absolute cupcakes and be exactly what Indiana is and exactly what some of these other teams are. They chose not to. That's part of watching the games and paying attention. Notre Dame, top 10 seems a little high maybe, given that they lost both those games. But I would have Notre Dame above Indiana. In fact, I would, and I don't think people should rank teams until they play a Power 4 conference team, at least after 3 games. If you haven't played one after 3 games, you should. It's like playing a road game. You shouldn't be in the road game in hoops as I used to. You shouldn't be in the poll. Notre Dame's Notre Dame's losses are better than a lot of people's wins. They should be in the. And again, I'm not saying the AP voters know what they're doing. Part of the problem is on the AP. This thing is due like Sunday morning. If you're working all night covering the one game that you covered all week, like how are you even doing that? I don't. The AP. I'm pissed off at the
Maybe
AP.
not everyone crushes tape till 7 a.m.
Well, then you're not doing a credible ballot. The AP poll is not credible. We need to stop referencing it. If you want, it shouldn't be in your stories. It's irresponsible to include the AP ballot or an AP ranking in your story.
Professor Aiden Hutchinson hasn't won many reps this season and hasn't earned a mega deal. And bonus, Notre Dame is going to test the limits of good losses, impacting their ability to make the playoff. Would they get in at 8-4?
I don't know. They won't. They won't get in at 8-4. But it is a good question. I mean, 9-3 with the losses they've had, would be really interesting, especially if they go 9-1 the rest of the way. I think would be Hutchinson. Do you feel like anything's changed on the idea of a mega deal with him?
Oh, absolutely. He gets cheaper by the game, right?
Yeah.
Unless he starts putting up some crazy sack numbers, and I think he understands that. But yeah, the mega deal is definitely not there right now.
Especially coming off the injury, like the idea you have to prove you're the guy.
Yep. Travis Maynard, Lions coming back to form and scoring 1 million points only solidifies the fact that this Packers team is for real elite. Go Pack, go. And bonus, I'm leaning towards sitting players at USC if they still need time. Chances of winning that game seem low. And from Suburban Spartan Dad, unless they are both 100%, MSU should just sit Marsh and Frazier next week, give them extra week of rest going into the bye, then go steal one at Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds simple that way, but if guys are ready to play, you go. Like, what is the injury? We don't know the specifics of it, and does 3 weeks over, does it make a difference? If you're good to go, you're good to go. If you're not, you don't play a college kid. You don't play a college. You're not shooting up a college kid like a horse or a pro right now with a shot just to get them through the pain, or a pro in the Super Bowl shooting, with broken ribs or whatever they're playing. You're not doing that. You just don't do that to a young person at this stage in their life and career. You don't.
You want to win, though.
You do want to win, but you can't. It's not an all-cost situation.
Oh. Then what are we doing? Forget it then. Detroit Spartan. After reading Couch's reaction to the game, I'm back to wanting Jonathan Smith fired.
Dang, I didn't know that. I
put you right.
I just.
What was your reaction?
I did an assessment column, and I
read that.
Yeah, I didn't.
It seemed like you were. It did seem like it had a different tone, I think, but yeah, I don't think that you were like. Hell, you just defended him on this show. So.
Just trying to be real. Well, no, I still think long term there's that I think he's a good coach, and I will repeat that, and I think he'll be a good coach even if he doesn't work out at Michigan State. At a certain point, you can argue there's fit or it's just not happening, but I just think we're a ways from there.
Gundy, number one, people are negatively overreacting to MSU's win on Saturday. We're 3-0 and should have more optimism with a big chance to prove we're for real coming up. And 2, MSU football is a top 20 job in the country, and any thought about Jonathan Smith making a downgrade move to UCLA are ridiculous. So this actually got legs here, this UCLA thing.
It was because it gets put out there. Somebody aggregates, somebody's surmising it. Some national person mentions it. Or includes them just because they're putting a list together. This is why these lists are so irresponsible and stupid. And people start to connect the dots, and that's all it is. It just doesn't make sense. Again,
they're stupid, but they seem to work. It gets people going.
It's not quite the same, but again, Saban never looked at West Virginia, so maybe
even if you want to go home so badly, would it be UCLA? Like I would just
UCLA has Eastern Michigan's fan base. Just think of it like that.
Oh yeah. Dave Lakin. Although MSU has 3 wins based on points for and points against, their offense is 10th and defense is 17th in the Big Ten. Joe Rossi needs to do better with the defense, or a 6-win season seems to be in the cards.
Yeah, 6 wins seems about. I mean, I would, if you can bet exact wins anywhere, if you find that line, I think 6 would be a play, especially if you get some plus money on it. Because
is that a spin zone? Like is that supposed to make us feel better?
I know I'm not.
Can you just lie? And
I'm
say,
not telling people to feel better. I think the defense looked concerning
at
best, and the offensive line did not look great, and that's not great.
Sparty Barb, number 1, Joe Rossi needs to find the Connor Cook of pass rushers on this defense. Someone who doesn't practice well but is a real gamer. And 2, allocate more funds to the strength and conditioning. Injuries to starters early in the season are a problem every year. And 3, Mr. Bat, please use your connections at North Carolina to hire back Amber Reinstein. And bonus, congrats to MSU volleyball on their 7-0 start this season.
She was Amber was I did a story on her. She was the nutritionist that was the lead nutritionist when they got that great start and that win against Miami. I did a story on her, and she was a big part of sort of some changes in MSU's program that got a lot of credit for, and she was well liked. And
where'd she go?
She must be at North Carolina right now. I think she left directly for North Carolina.
How much does she want?
Yeah,
Mill.
Yeah,
start handing these out.
Look, strength and conditioning injuries. Injuries are happening everywhere. It's just because
Liz Frank.
Yeah, you're paying attention to what's happening right now. And a good start for MSU volleyball. They haven't played a lot of people yet, but when you're at the place that program is, wins matter. Get some confidence before the Big Ten takes it away.
They haven't played anybody.
No,
You've been crushing tape on the volleyball schedule.
They played closer to Indiana's schedule. Not maybe even better than Indiana's. I shouldn't say that, but it's not
Indiana volleyball.
No, Indiana football.
Oh,
yeah.
Thomas, I'm glad we're back to green uniforms, but the all greens need to be reserved for the Michigan game or some other big earned occasion. All stadiums need to provide free water with how long games are going now. Or just make it $1.50 for a water.
Make it cheap. It should be cheap. And that's right. Put it on. You want
$6.
You want 4-minute commercials every 5 minutes. Yeah. You got to provide water. Tell the networks that. See if they everybody gets a bottle of water on their seat when they show up. Although it wouldn't be cold still. That doesn't work.
Either way. Yeah. Corey Ostrom, bottom line is MSU is 3-0. There are concerns in the trenches on both sides of the ball, coverage issues with the linebackers, troubling injuries, and defensive scheming and game planning. A powerful offense keeps them in every game going forward through, so 6-6 seems reasonable. And bonus, MSU's Lefalel and Santiago should play all game long at rush end. Good young talent that coaches should cut loose and develop in season. Can't hurt.
Well, they gotta find something there, and again, it may just be youth. It may be something that comes out. It's just they don't seem to have guys who, when Montez Sweat showed up at Michigan State, and I know he smoked himself out of the job and he got kicked out of the program back when weed was illegal, and that was couldn't quite get through that, but they just couldn't stop him in practice. They don't have that guy. They need that. That defense needs that guy, and it's just not there.
How do you not get some fake piss or something to get that guy to play? Like, you watch him in practice, and you go, he likes to smoke weed, coach. We got to do something. Like,
yeah.
What do you have to do?
You got to have a guy whose job is to provide the pee. Yeah. Have you ever provided pee for anybody?
Who would want my pee?
That's a good point.
As far as weed, I mean, maybe other stuff. I don't do anything else anymore.
I would never share who, but I've provided pee for an employment test before.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I would. You'd be the first person I go to, I think.
Yeah. Another story worth telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
Did you sell it to the person, or
no? I just gave it to him.
Clemens Spartan, hot take. The rest of MSU's season will be defined by one play. 3 MSU O linemen blocking 1 FCS rusher. And somehow the result is friendly fire, putting Luka Vincic out for the season. This team lacks athletes and a headiness that great teams possess. That was a bad moment. There's no question for the offensive line for Luka, who they talked up and he had been out, and then he comes back and he's starting, and they really, really like him. And the depth of that group is going to be tested. Munfield tailgate. I enjoy a fall tailgate, but 3 September home games is the way to go. MSU hit the perfect schedule this year with the Friday night, Saturday night, and then Saturday 3:30 game schedule. I'm in favor of scheduling home and homes with Power 5 schools so we can continue to get that every other year. Yeah, 3 September home games, the way to go. Some people don't like it. It's too much. Like, you want the break. You want some weeks you're watching on TV and other weeks you're back. But the weather as far as the weather's good. But October weather, man. October weather and a muskox flannel. That's how you do it. People want their weeks where they can watch Xfinity, and they can watch their cable and they can watch their game. They can watch their multi-view. Again, Xfinity.com, and you can check the latest best deal for you and type in your address. It'll be right there for you. Am I skipping down to anybody?
Let's go down to our friend Upper Deck Jerk Guy, and actually we got time for Jake and Upper Deck Jerk Guy, and we'll get to these. We'll get to these midweek. I apologize again. We're gonna have to figure this out on Mondays because we don't quite have time to do our full show on Mondays usually. So we'll figure that out.
Jake Hawkins, number 1, Aiden Childs took another step, but by God, what is going on with the defense? Do we need to look hard and wonder about Joe Rossi as defensive coordinator? And 2, bodies piling up from from injuries for MSU has me wondering what's going on with the strength and conditioning. And 3, the Tigers better sweep the Guardians.
They don't need to sweep them. They just need to win at least one in this series. I mean, ideally they'd win a couple and just put it away. 2 puts it away. 2 is it. They win 2 of 4. They're winning the division. The question is, can they also still remain in the number, at least one of the top?
Are we
2
sure
spots?
those are Jake's takes? I don't believe that those are the right ones. Or did you edit those? Like, that's not a Jake. Like, Tigers better sweep the Guardians. Is that really his?
I think it's him.
All right. And finally, the jerk guy. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. I bet no one has really searched for a needle in a haystack nor placed straw on a camel's back until it broke.
There are a lot of people right now going, we didn't get to my hot take, so you could read that.
Hey, Wednesday.
We will get to it Wednesday.
Yeah.
We apologize. We'll get this figured out. We appreciate Xfinity. Again, if you're looking for a deal on home internet, cable, or even mobile, go to Xfinity.com. Type in your address. You'll find the deal there. They've got some great offerings. The Xfinity Multiview, a great way to watch college football on Saturdays. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Go to Midtown Brewing on Facebook. Check out their events, their latest offerings. Some of their mushroom soup this month, just exquisite. Great stuff. And, of course, we appreciate our friends at Muskox Flannels. Go Muskox.com, and Peacock is the promo code for a $15 off your flannel purchase. We'll talk to you Wednesday. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.